birria ramen, birria pho, Sinaloan sushi, and Manoodles, a fusion of menudo blanco and Japanese udon noodles. They're all examples of Mexican-Asian fusion food you can find in the United States.
Mucha gente se saca de onda, te piden que enchiladas, flautas, sopes, burritos, y pues nosotros no ofrecemos nada de eso.
This fusion is far from new. Why has it been going on for centuries, and where did it start? And why is this specific fusion more common in places like Los Angeles?
We were like, why not marrying the aguachile and the tom yum, keeping that citrusy and herbal flavor of the tom yum.
My name is Fernando, and this story is about the hyphen between Mexican and Asian cuisine. When the Kogi food truck opened in Los Angeles in 2008, it did so to much fanfare and long lines.
Today we're hanging out in Koreatown, right in Los Angeles, and we're checking out this truck that just crosses continents, bringing amazing fusion to the table.
That's fusion Korean and Mexican food. I don't know what that's going to be like.
Yeah, we're more than just Korean barbecue and the taco.
People were lining up for hours for a taste of Chef Roy Choi's Korean barbecue tacos.
In LA, because we were so big and there's so many different neighborhoods, you couldn't really say whether or not this thing or that thing or this thing represented LA. What Kogi did was kind of bring all those things together into one thing, and it tasted like LA.
The truck, which dished out Korean barbecue short rib tacos and kimchi quesadillas, was the exciting new food in Los Angeles at the time. But it was an echo or continuation of something that started centuries earlier. In 1882, the United States passed the Chinese Exclusion Act, which banned laborers from China for 10 years. To get around this, some Chinese immigrants went to Ensenada, Baja California in Mexico to try to enter the U.S. illegally, but many ended up staying in the northern portion of Baja California instead. About 20 years later, Mexicali, Baja California's cotton industry specifically, would draw Chinese laborers to the area. But what you may not know is that xenophobia and discrimination in other parts of Mexico is what pushed some Chinese immigrants toward Mexicali. In 1911, during the Mexican Revolution, revolutionary forces murdered 300 Chinese and Japanese Mexicans in Torreon, Coahuila, in what historians say was an attack fueled by racist chants. By 1926, there were more than 10,000 Chinese people in Mexicali. Today, it's the city with the largest population of Chinese descendants in Mexico, and it has more than 300 Chinese restaurants. And even before that, there was an even bigger, more sweeping fusion of Asian and Mexican cultures. The Aapulco Manila galleon trade route of the 1500s. It linked the Philippines and Mexico when both countries were under Spanish rule. The route was used to transport goods as well as enslaved people to and from the Philippines. The galleon trade also introduced indigenous people in Mexico to things like citrus fruits.
Llegaron con especias, llegaron con animales diferentes, llegaron con especies asiáticas, llegaron con especies propias de ellos. Entonces ahí es donde se hace el choque cultural ese y empieza a crearse la cocina que conocemos de hoy en día en México.
Enrique Soltero grew up 2 hours west of Mexicali, in Tijuana, where in the early 2000s, there were an estimated 325 Chinese restaurants.
Íbamos mucho a comer comida china. Era de 1 o 2 veces por semana comida china. Yo creo que es por lo vasto, ¿no? Que te sirven bastante y pueden comer por toda la familia.
Enrique attended culinary school in Tijuana before moving to LA to work in various restaurants. In 2024, he opened his own restaurant, Amor a Mi, in Burbank.
Entonces, mi concepto es seguir evolucionando la cocina mexicana, no quedarnos como lo que es o lo que fue, y sino seguir metiendo lo que puede llegar a ser.
On the menu, you'll find things like tinga masala tacos, a play on Indian tikka masala, and the chino poblano, smoked curabuta pork belly marinated in pastor chino adobo, all on an heirloom corn bao bun. And then there are the Manoodles.
El menú comemos un dashi japonés, pues con un menú tradicional mexicano. Entonces es la fusión. So we start by boiling the kombu. So sacamos nada más para que suelte todo lo que necesitamos de ella. Y luego posteriormente le ponemos bonito flakes. Y de ahí se deja que esté hirviendo por unos 30-40 minutos. Se le sacan el bonito, le ponemos la pata, se deja hervir por unas 4 o 5 horas. Start by cutting in half and then do like long cuts. So I try to mimic the noodles.
And then he adds the noodles, which are actually made from honeycomb tripe, which is one of 4 compartments in a cow's stomach.
Entonces ya de ahí lo bajamos la lumbre a lo mínimo y lo dejamos toda la noche.
If you've gotten this far into the video, I hope that means you find my reporting interesting. If you want more of it delivered to your inbox, consider subscribing to my newsletter for In The Hyphen. It's totally free and you'll get access to original reporting you won't find in my videos. The link to subscribe is in the description. All right, back to the video. I tried the Manoodles and I'll say this. I'm not a big menudo guy, mostly because I get a little weirded out by the stomach texture. But this was very good. It's not as sharp in spice level as traditional red menudo, but it still has an herby, spicy kick to it. And the broth is a little more viscous. If I ate this with my eyes closed, I think I'd have a difficult time pinpointing it as Mexican menudo or Japanese noodles. And I think that's the point. It really is a blend of both flavor profiles. Now, as good as these Manoodles might be, the dish still does generate a lot of questions from customers.
Entonces viene mucha gente pues, mexicana que le encanta el menudo. Y me dice, mamás, ¿qué son? Yo me quedo como, pues es una versión de menudo. No, yo quiero menú tradicional y que pruébelo y si no le gusta, pues no lo paga. Y ya se quedan como medio sacados de onda y como que sin ganas y lo prueban y se quedan y les gusta y se lo terminan y así me dice, ¿sabes qué? Me disculpa, sí está muy bueno.
And then there's Alex Garcia, a chef who co-owns Evil Cooks with his wife and chef Elvia. The metal-themed Mexican restaurant in Los Angeles features items like bean and cheese dumplings and enchilada dumplings.
Our enchilada dumplings are basically tossed in enchilada sauce, filled up with requesón, and topped with some crispy potatoes.
The food Evil Cooks makes is what Alex calls LA cuisine.
LA cuisine basically is a mixture of all the cultures that we have around us. Personally, us, we have a lot of Asian cuisine next to us, a lot of Middle Eastern, and that's something that we've been getting from the outskirts and mix it into our Latino culture.
LA specifically has one of the highest populations in the country of both Hispanic and Latino residents, as well as Asian residents. When you consider that, it's almost not surprising a restaurant like Evil Cooks sells something called Tom Yum Aguachile.
Aguachile that we do here is something, a mix between something that we love. My wife personally, she loves Tom Yum and she loves aguachile. So we were like, why not marrying the aguachile and the Tom Yum? So our clientele, like, it's like diverse. Like we get a little bit of everything, but we get a lot of like Asian people because like they're super foodies. They're always like wanting to find something different.
I asked both these chefs why they think Asian and Mexican flavors work so well together.
Una, pues la cocina mexicana se lleva muy bien con las especias. Y tiene muchas especias chinas que combinan mucho con la comida mexicana. Otra, las culturas son muy alivianadas, los dos se puede decir, y nos llevamos bien, creo. Creo que es una otra. Entonces, creo que las comunidades como tal se han mezclado muy bien en cuestión de que, en cultura. Sí. Y base a eso ha surgido la fusión en la comida. Porque pues conozco muchas parejas chino-mexicanas. ¿Ah, sí? Sí, aquí en Los Ángeles. Y pues ahí empieza también la cocina en casa.
At the end of the day, like the most all these empires, all these countries are Asia and Middle East. So it's the root of the cooking. At the end of the day, you have spices on one side, you have a lot of items in the other. So why not to bring them into the kitchen?
But Evil Cook's location, specifically in the neighborhood of El Sereno, made it almost difficult not to combine Mexican and Asian flavors. The neighborhood is predominantly Hispanic, but right next to it is the San Gabriel Valley, which has the largest concentration of Asian Americans in the United States.
Because it was so easy to go next door and find some Asian items that I started incorporating some items and then start recalling those recipes that I saw back then with El Bulli.
What's interesting is that the Mexican-Asian fusion we're seeing today will make more sense when you consider this. Chinese food and Mexican food are the most searched for cuisines in the United States, according to 2024 survey data from Seating Masters. According to them, both cuisines bring in around 15 million monthly searches.
All cuisines have a common denominator where like they have the same thing as a base. Everything has something in common, and everything is so easy to marry it together.
Now, my biggest takeaway from both of these chefs that I spoke to was how unintentional these Mexican-Asian fusions were for them.
Every time that I think at the moment on something that I want to make, I'll do it. I don't think about it, I just do it. And if it sticks, sticks. If not, we turn the next page. So yeah, I try not to have that much in my head because I put everything out there when I feel it.
Now I'm curious, have you seen any other examples of Mexican-Asian fusion where you live? Let me know in the comments. By the way, if you like this video, you might also enjoy this other video I made.